In this video, I'll be showing you how to replace a vapor canister on a Nissan Maxima. This is located behind the fuel tank. Let's get started. We're going to start off by opening our hood and locating our fuse box right next to the air box on the driver's side of the engine bay. Going to pull down on these tabs on both sides of the fuse box to release it. So lift up while you do this. And turn it over so we have access to our fuses. On this bottom row of fuses in the middle, I'm going to locate this 15 amp fuse and remove it using some pliers. Set it aside. Now with that fuse removed, we can start relieving our fuel pressure from the entire system. We're going to do this by cranking over our engine until it does not start. As you can see, our engine did not start, so our fuel pressure is relieved. We're going to open our hood and locate our battery on the driver's side of the engine bay. We're going to locate our negative battery terminal, our positive battery terminal, and the bracket holding the battery down. We're going to start off by removing the negative battery terminal. I'll be using a 10mm wrench. Just loosen it, work it free, and pull up and set it aside. Now we're going to do the same for the positive battery terminal. Lift off the cover and loosen the nut. Work it free. Lift up and set it aside. Now to remove our bracket. It's held down by two 10mm nuts and one 10mm bolt. Locate the bolt on the ECU bracket. Now we can lift the hole down up and set it aside. Now I'm going to remove my battery insulation. Just lift up. Set it aside as well. Now we're going to lift the battery up and out of the vehicle. Set the terminals aside and lift up. And there it is. Now we're going to make our way to our back seat and under the rear seat cushion on each corner. We're going to locate these hangers and clips, pull them out and lift up on each corner of the rear seat cushion. So I'm going to lift up, put my finger under and lift. And I'm going to repeat this for the other side. Now with both corners free, I'm going to lift up on the cushion and remove it from the vehicle. In order to gain access to our fuel pump, we're going to have to remove this cover. There are 4 tabs on each side. Using a Phillips head screwdriver, I'm going to disengage them by turning them clockwise. Now before we open our cover, make sure the surrounding area is clean. I've cleaned it up with a vacuum to ensure no debris falls in or around the fuel pump. Now lift up and set the cover aside. Now to remove our fuel pump connector. Going to use some pliers to disengage the tab on top and pull it out. Inspect for any corrosion or damage and set the whole unit aside. And now to remove our fuel lines. I'm going to place a rag under them just in case any fuel comes out. So squeeze both tabs in with your pliers and remove the line. Now we'll do the same for this one. For this one, the tabs are on the sides, so I'll be using circular needle nose pliers to do this. Push in on both sides and slide it out. Set it aside as well. We're going to make our way under the vehicle and below the exhaust, locate these brackets. There are 2 on each side, held down by 4 13mm bolts. We're going to remove these first. Break them loose. Do the same for the other side. And hold it up when you remove the last bolt. Now we'll do the same for our front bracket. And again, hold it up when you remove the last bolt. Set these aside. Now we're going to move on to our exhaust. On the front pipe, we're going to find 2 14mm nuts. We're going to go ahead and break those free and remove them. Now separate your exhaust, pull each end out. And set them aside. Now behind the rear subframe, we're going to locate our muffler joints that connect to our mid pipe. These are 14mm in our case. Now repeat this for the other muffler. Now we'll remove our hardware and separate the muffler. Set it aside. Before we separate our exhaust from our hangers, we're going to ensure our mid pipe clears our front pipe. So just pull it forward and in front. Right above the mid pipe, we are going to locate our exhaust hanger and its 2 bolts. We're going to go ahead and remove those as well. Now separate the hanger from the subframe and set it aside. We're going to go back to the front of the vehicle where the mid pipe meets the front pipe and place a pull jack to support the exhaust up. Hold the back portion of the exhaust up while you do this. Do the same for the other side. Now slowly lower and remove your exhaust. Set it aside. On the underside of the fuel tank, we're going to locate our parking brake cable brackets. 2 in the middle, 2 up front. These are held down by 10mm nuts. Since these are rusty, I'm going to apply some penetrating fluid. Now pull them down. Now we're going to do the same for the front ones. Now pull them down. On our fuel tank shield, we're going to locate this metal clip. I'm going to go ahead and lubricate it first to remove it. As you can see, it's pretty corroded on. I'm going to take a flat blade screwdriver and pry it off. And set it aside. We're going to slide the fuel tank shield back and pull it down. Now we can set this aside. On both corners of the rear subframe, we're going to locate two parking brake mounting brackets that are held on by two 13mm bolts. Break those free and remove them. Do the same for the other side. We're going to go up on the fuel tank and locate this small line that leads to this hard line and this clip. I'm going to rotate the clip so we have access to both sides. I'm going to disengage both sides using circular needle nose pliers. Now push down both ends. You could pry it off using a pry bar. Now set it aside. We're going to move on to our fuel filler neck hose and its worm clamp. I placed a wrench on top of it. Now I'm going to loosen the clamp to slide the hose off. Now slide it back on the hose. Now twist and pull to remove your hose. And set it aside. We're going to take a transmission jack and support our fuel tank up. Ensure you clear the parking brake cables. Now lift up. We're going to move on to our front fuel tank straps and their two 16mm bolts. Remove these. And slowly lower. We're going to position these fuel straps away from the vehicle. So just take them. It's okay if they bend a bit. Just place them back for now. We're going to move on to slowly lowering the fuel tank. Make sure the parking brake cables are clear on both sides. We're going to push our fuel tank to the right so we could clear our driver's side parking brake cable. Now lift the cable up on the driver's side. Now continue lowering and moving to the left. Place the cable on top and continue lowering. Now I'm going to use some circular needle nose pliers to push in both tabs on this hose. Once they're pushed in, I'm going to pry it out with a pry bar. We can fully lower our fuel tank and set it aside. Now we have access to our vapor canister. We're going to start off by removing this hose and connector. I'm going to use some adjustable pliers to remove this clamp back. Work it free and off of the canister. Push it back with a pry bar if needed. And set it aside. I'm going to take some needle nose pliers and push down the tab on top of this connector and slide it out. Inspect for any corrosion or damage and set it aside. We'll do the same for our vapor vent solenoid. I'll be using circular needle nose pliers to hook it over and press the tab down and a pry bar to push it off. Inspect for any corrosion or damage. Now work the bottom hose free and off of the canister. and set it aside as well. Using a socket, extension, and swivel, we're going to remove our 13mm vapor canister bolt. Break it loose. I'll set the bolt aside. Now push the canister back. Work it free and remove it from the vehicle. Now let's take it to the bench. Now to transfer over our components to our new vapor canister. I'm going to start off with our vent solenoid. I'm going to turn this counterclockwise and pull out. Remove the covers on the new vapor canister. And to install this, I'm going to insert it and turn clockwise. Make sure the O-ring fully seats. You can lubricate it if it does not seat fully. And turn in. Now for our sensor, we're going to pull these tabs out and pry it up with a flat blade screwdriver. Make sure it is clean. As you can see, our O-ring is dry, so I'm going to lubricate it with some manufacturer-approved engine oil. Now insert it on the new unit. Now let's take this over to the vehicle. Now let's put our vapor canister in place. I'm going to align the tab on top of the canister with the mounting location on the vehicle. On the left side of the canister, we're going to hand thread on our 13mm bolt. Now let's snug it down. We're going to torque this down to 21 foot-pounds. We're going to move on to the right side of the canister to resecure our hoses and connectors. Slide this one over and in place. Make sure it's fully seated on the bottom. Resecure electrical connector. And make sure it clicks. Do the same for the front. Slide your hose over. And your connector as well. Now we could resecure our metal clamp. Squeeze it with pliers and slide it over. We're going to raise our fuel tank up into the vehicle. We're going to tilt our fuel tank to the left and raise it up. Now keep raising until the fuel tank goes over the parking brake cable. Now push back to the right and level out the fuel tank. Now pull the cable down on the other side. Now ensure the fuel tank is center and continue lifting up. Now run your straps under the fuel tank. We're going to reinstall our fuel tank straps, so line up the holes and insert the bolt. And snug it down. Now repeat this for the other side. We're going to torque both of these down to 30 foot-pounds. We're going to move on to our EVAP lines. Starting with our main EVAP line on the canister, just slide it over in place. Once it clicks, make sure it's secure. Now for our smaller hose, we're going to feed it through and install it on our hard line. make sure it's secure. We're gonna move on to our filler neck hose and the fuel tank. Slide your worm clamp over the hose. You could either reuse your current one or replace it if it's too corroded. And a quick note, we're gonna face the fastener down to make reinstallation easier. Now slide it on and make sure it's fully flush. Hold your clamp and snug it down. Again, this is a 10 millimeter. Once it's snug, make sure it's secure. We're gonna run our heat shield over the parking brake cables. Locate the mounting tabs as well. Once it's in place, bring it up. Locate the back mounting tab, slide it over, and slide it forward. Align the stud in the front and our mounting tab in the middle as well. Install the clip and hammer it on. We're going to align our mounting tabs and hand thread on our 10 millimeter bolts. Now we'll do the same for our front mounting tabs. And just snug all 4 of these down. We're going to move on to our rear subframe and reinstall the brackets for our brake cable. Hand thread on your 2 bolts. Ensure the tab on the bracket goes in the subframe. And snug these down. There are 2 13 millimeters. Repeat this for the other side. We're going to move on to installing our mid pipe on the vehicle. I'm going to slide the front portion on the front pipe and place the rear on a pull jack. Align the studs and insert it. And rest it on the pull jack. We're going to install our hardware on the front pipe and thread it on. And snug it down. Do it in an alternating pattern so you have a flush fitment on both pipes. We're going to torque these down to 33 foot-pounds. Raise up your exhaust. And we're going to slide our rubber hangers over. Now's the time to lower and remove your pull jack. We're going to move on to our rear rubber mount for an exhaust and install it. Hand thread on your hardware. We're going to torque these down to 11 foot-pounds. We'll be replacing our exhaust hardware since ours is broken. So I'm going to insert the new bolt. Now slide the mufflers over and slide them on. And throw on your 2 nuts. And do the same for the other muffler. We're going to snug all of these down. Let's torque all of these down to 21 foot-pounds. We're going to move on to our underbody pillars. 2 in the middle of the vehicle. Put them in place and hand thread on your bolts. There are 2 on each side. Now snug these down. We're going to torque all 4 of these down to 21 foot-pounds. Now repeat this for the front bar. We're going to make our way back inside the vehicle. Remove your rag and install your fuel lines. Slide them over. Ensure the clip is aligned with the holes on the side of the hose. And once it clicks, make sure it's secure. Do the same for this one. We're going to take our cover and our electrical connector, slide it over, and again, make sure it's secure. Now align the cover with our tabs on each corner and press down. While holding the cover down, I'm going to turn the tabs counterclockwise with a Phillips head screwdriver. We're going to put our rear seat cushion into place. Once it's in place, pull your seatbelt buckles up and through. Now push the seat in and down. Make sure it fully clicks and make sure it's secure. Repeat this for the other side. We're going to make our way to our engine bay and fuse box and reinstall our 15 amp fuel pump fuse. Use your needle nose pliers and put it in place. And make sure it's flush. Reinstall your fuse box, turn it around and push down on all 4 corners. Make sure all 4 tabs seat. Now let's go ahead and install our battery. I'm going to slide it over and into our battery tray. Make sure it's centered. We can install our battery insulation foam. Slide it over. Make sure the posts are on the outside of the insulation. And center the battery once again. Now before we reinstall our terminals, I'm going to go ahead and clean the battery posts with a battery brush. I'm going to slide my brush over, twist it. I'll do the same with the positive terminal. I'm going to do the same with my terminals. Grab a brush and get off as much corrosion as I can. Do the same for the positive terminal. Now for my mounting bracket, I'm going to slide it under the battery strap. Line up the holes. Now I'm going to hand thread on my 3 fasteners. Now I'm just going to snug all 4 of these down. I'm going to alternate between these 2 first. Finish off with this one. And snug this nut down as well. Now let's go ahead and reconnect our positive battery terminal. Open the cap, slide it over, push it in place. Make sure it's fully seated and snug it down using your 10mm. Once that's done, just reconnect your cap. Now let's go ahead and reconnect our negative battery terminal. Gonna slide it over. Make sure it's fully seated and snug it down using my 10mm. We're going to make our way inside the vehicle and toggle the ignition on about 3 times to prime our fuel system. And that completes our install. Go ahead and take the vehicle for a road test, clear any codes, and thanks for watching.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.